Liberation Day, they call it, right? The reciprocal tariffs go into effect April 2nd. Not April Fools, but today, April 2nd. Yes, there's all kinds of consternation and worry about this pretty bold step. I'm going to go with President Trump. All the people, all the critics, they've been wrong pretty much every step of the way, especially when President Trump is involved. Some are calling this, actually Charlie Kirk, I'm a big fan, says this just might be the most important words ever uttered from the Rose Garden. Maybe. Let's take a look.
In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, the fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But, you know, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something, but, and they're going to fight, and they're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. You know, it's like, I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years.
So if this takes back manufacturing, if it brings it back to America, I'm all in. And it's definitely worth a try. Big and bold. He had the chart up there with the percentages we're going to be charging other countries. Some countries have been particularly bad, some just bad, some not so bad. How they treat us, we will treat them. And a lot of folks are going to be negotiating like crazy to get off of this list. It's going to be a wild ride, but worth it. And again, I'm with Trump on this. Next, please. Elon Musk, everybody. Elon Musk. Is it true that he's leaving the White House? There is a report that he will soon be leaving. Now, it's just a report, right? And when have those reports been wrong before? I love that he's there. President Trump has a friend, and they're on the same frequency. And when Elon Musk shows up at a department or an agency, they're going to drop everything and show him what he wants, all right? He's got extreme wealth, extreme gravitas, extreme fame. If a couple of 28-year-olds show up from the Office of Management and Budget, it's just not going to be the same. And he has gone through a lot. His company has taken a major hit. The cars themselves, they're burning them up all over the place. That's horrible. I did my part to support Elon getting one of those Cybertrucks. And I got to tell you firsthand, it's very cool. How do you like my Cybertruck? I have this in honor of Doge and Elon, and hopefully to the annoyance of AOC and crazy leftist liberal lunatics everywhere. Yeah, that horn, it's really something else. Now, did it seem familiar? Did you get deja vu? I lifted the idea from you-know-who. Remember the garbage truck?
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
How do you like my Cybertruck? I have this in honor of Doge and Elon, and hopefully to the annoyance of AOC. All right, I admit it, I got the idea from President Trump, okay? And when it comes to social media, he knows where it's at. I put that up on @GregKellyUSA if you want to check it out. The protesters are out there in force, plaguing, just bothering an American-made company. And what is he doing? He's just getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. Who could have a problem with it, to the extent that they're burning up those beautiful Tesla automobiles that are so impressive technologically and every other way? It is, it's amazing. But I'll tell you this, one thing about the protesters I've seen out there for Elon, against Elon, not the ones who are burning things, but guys like this who are just shooting their mouths off, that is their right. And my sense is, looking at them, that once they're done with the protest, they can't protest forever because they got to go back to their job, whatever they do for work. And these people have jobs. Unlike the guy who made a big spectacle out of himself in the middle of the United States Senate.
To call to the conscience of this nation, to say, I will not stand for another American to lose their health care for a billionaire. I will not stand for another veteran who's dedicated to stopping the suicide of other veterans to lose their job. I won't stand for the air quality in my community to be made worse because they're letting polluters pollute more. I won't stand for the collective assaults on the Constitution by a man who even the highest judge in our land, a Republican-appointed judge, said, stop threatening and bullying other branches of government. When is it going to be enough? My voice is inadequate. My efforts today are inadequate.
Your voice and you personally are inadequate, Cory Booker. He is desperate. You know, he kind of became old news. He was the big next fresh thing, and now he's just kind of old hat, but he's reintroducing himself. He has absolutely nothing to offer, folks, nothing. We don't go for this crap anymore. He entered politics even before the age of 29. He was a community activist, right? What else does he have to offer? Nothing. A guy who's been in politics his entire life, just running his mouth. He doesn't know anything. Compared to President Trump, a media darling. Oh, boy, do they love him. He's always camera ready. And they fell in love with this story, right? That he's this black man who lived in the projects. It's all a fraud, okay? He grew up very affluent. But they fall in love, especially with a well-educated person who happens to be black. It's very strange. I don't look at the world that way. I don't think most people do. We just don't care. We don't care about what's on the outside or what's hanging on your wall. There's a guy, believe it or not, before the New York Times lost its mind, they really had his number. For instance, in the middle of a snowstorm, he's the mayor of Newark. He didn't run out to coordinate things. He ran out to shovel the snow. Anybody can do that. I was doing that in the 7th grade. But when you're the mayor, you're supposed to be like coordinating the snow plows and all that stuff. No. As Michael Powell once wrote about this guy, a recent state audit underlines that the former mayor might have paid more attention to the prosaic business of running his city. Instead of shoveling driveways, he loved on snowy days to run about Newark with his shovel. He could have attended a meeting, just one, of his Newark Watershed Conservation and Development Corporation. It turns out this corporation, which the mayor championed and empowered, was pilfering Newark. The executive director, who was a close ally of the mayor, acted like a bear come upon a honey pot. The state controller found her total compensation over 7 years came to $2 million. Yet her salary during those years came to just $1.16 million. It seems she cut herself checks from the agency's accounts. And meanwhile, Booker, a splendid retailer of his narrative. But after a while, there is a Barnum and Bailey quality to it. His maiden speech in the Senate 12 years ago went on for 30 minutes and ranged from the founding fathers to slavery to his own story. Oh, yes, unemployment benefits, which was his ostensible point. He talks, tweets, travels relentlessly, but what's left behind is troubling. What's left behind is nothing. He doesn't get anything done. He just talks like so many other career politicians. It's really, we see through these guys right now, in large part thanks to Trump. All right, next, please. You heard about Wisconsin. Not good news there. Crawford is now the chief judge. The top judge is Susan Crawford, and that's very, very powerful, okay? She's going to be doing all kinds of things, gerrymandering, and she could actually tip the House of Representatives back to the Democrats, and that means impeachment city for President Trump. Something that did pass or not pass, the way depends upon the way you look at it, question 1 on the ballot. This is a good thing for voter ID. Right now, voter ID is required in Wisconsin, and it's going to be harder to make that requirement go away. That's what question 1 was all about. This is still an issue Democrats, they just don't believe in, right? And they lie about it all the time. Voter ID, it makes sense, common sense. Although then again, it's not what this next individual had. Kamala Harris, as you can see, just about every country in the world, every civilized country requires voter ID, including Germany, by the way. Here's what Kamala Harris had to say about Germany.
Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, she came over for breakfast. She asked me about voting, and she knew what was going on here. And this is not a subject that was unique to my conversation with her, by the way, in terms of world leaders. Because people around the world watch what we do as America, because we have held ourselves out to be a model of the efficacy of the ability of a democracy to coexist with an economic strength and power. We have been a role model saying you can see this and aspire to this and reject autocracies and autocratic leadership. And right now we're about to take ourselves off the map as a role model if we let people destroy one of the most important pillars of a democracy, which is free and fair election.
Okay, a lot of passion there to get rid of voter ID, to never have it to begin with. All the countries, and she's lying, all right? Civilized countries know how to do this. It makes total sense, and pretty soon it'll be the law of the land. So what does that leave Democrats to fight for? Weird stuff. Men and women's sports. They have not given up on that. And they actually think drag queens should be allowed to teach the children in public school. That is a losing agenda. Next, please. So this is President Trump's national security team on the couch, along with others. We've got Vance, we got Hegseth, and we got Waltz. You know, the Signal scandal, fake scandal, has not gone away. Signal is authorized to be on government phones. It's authorized to share sensitive information. And we know this. We've established it. And I do think that the culprit behind this fake trap, this setup, is Susan Rice, Obama, and the Biden administration. Susan Rice, very tight, okay, with Barack Obama. She worked for Joe Biden, and here she is every step of the way. She's been there. She was involved in the Benghazi stuff. She was involved in the plot to sabotage President Trump's first term and Michael Flynn and the rest. And she's been all over, I'm going to repeat it, she's been all over Signalgate, just ready to pounce on cue as if it were a script.
That we're talking about the most sensitive details of an attack plan, and that they're doing it in such a haphazard and reckless way that they don't even notice that they incorporated a journalist into the chat. I mean, the whole thing is mind-boggling. They had an inherently sensitive, classified discussion about the most sensitive kind of information, war planning, on a non-governmental, non-secure, non-classified application. Why these people are using Signal is itself a big question, and I think a scandal. And frankly, the only reason to use Signal is either they're lazy, stupid, or they just don't care.
I have to hit this again, folks. I'm sorry. We got to get them to listen. These guys should be totally off the hook. It is crazy. Just this past December, this group, CISA, said to senior government political officials, audience specifically addresses highly targeted individuals who are in senior government or senior political positions and likely to possess information of interest to these threat actors, okay? And what did it tell them to do? The government told them to adopt a free application for secure communications that guarantees end-to-end encryption, such as Signal. Right there, the government itself. This is the United States government. And when did they offer this guidance? December 18th, 2024. Who was in power? Joe Biden, and that means Barack Obama was in power, and that also means Susan Rice was in power. This whole thing, they didn't do anything wrong, and I'm glad they're there. I hope they stay there.